Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. So happy Friday to everyone. It's been a rough week for us. So I've been having a little bit of an adult beverage to kind of wash away my sorrow here and the price performance of Bitcoin miners obviously as well. Bitcoin got down to 80,000 a day in change. Miners didn't do so well today also, but I think we might have bottomed out here. I think we'll see. We'll take a look at some things here. We do have some good news stories on Google, and we'll take a look at some short data on the miners as well. But it's Friday night. Excuse me. It's Friday night. Let's get into it here. We'll get through everything else. We'll get through all your guys' questions as well and comments. But as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for anyone only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button. Helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at what happened with Bitcoin here today. Other good news is the FOMC. The other good news is the Fed. The CBOE Fed Watch tool now shows a potential 70% of an interest rate cut here in December, which is a huge change from what we just saw like a day ago. Okay, so that's also happening here. But Bitcoin today, Bitcoin had a pretty rough day overall. It came back up here quite nicely here, but Bitcoin was down 1.7% today. We did hit a low of 80,524. So we bounced off of that. That might be a good sign here that we have kind of bottomed out. I mean, the RSI is looking pretty rough here right now as it is, right at 22 on it. Last time we were this low hasn't been for a long time. This was going back to February of 2025. Here we bottomed out at that point. Price was kind of similar where we are right now overall. And then we actually went down a little bit further, and then we bounced off of that here as well. But if we look at also the weekly chart here on the RSI here, we can see the RSI on the weekly is down to 34 roughly. Last time we were this low, this is going back to December of 2022. This is when Bitcoin has bottomed out in the previous cycle, right? So this actually looks pretty good for Bitcoin structural wise, technical wise, whatever you want to call it. It's looking pretty good here for us in this regard. Could we bounce back from here? We possibly could. I'm thinking that maybe fingers crossed that we have bottomed out here on Bitcoin with all this, pressure to the downside on it, has capitulated a lot of people, has taken out all the longs as well, and we are in a better position possibly to run up even higher here. Okay, but time will only tell on that, but things are looking a little bit better for us here right now at these levels. Obviously, we would like to have Bitcoin at higher levels, right? We'd like to see a new all-time high here. I think we will in due course, but that's going to be a couple of weeks, couple of months. I think we will get there as well. So that's not looking too bad overall. Markets today were in the green. Dow Jones was up, NASDAQ was up, S&P was up. The Russell was up nicely, 2.83%, but still the miners could not muster much of a green day today. They were at times a green, but other times they were in the red here. Ethereum was also down today. Similar to Bitcoin, it got down quite low here, got down to a low of 2,620 exactly, and then bounced off of that, closed at 2,763 and 99 cents. It was down 2.35% there. And then the miners here got beaten up a little bit more here today, some more than others. Bitfarms was down 6.54%. I did buy Bitfarms today a little higher at like $2.50 some cents. So I did buy into Bitfarms. I got 400 shares of that. I also bought, bought into Cleanspark today as well at a little bit higher price as well. I think it was $9.88, something like that is where I got into it. Maybe even lower than that, $9.82, I think, maybe somewhere around $9.80, something like that is where I got into it. But another 100 shares of that one as well. So I deployed some capital into the markets here. I just see these things being way undervalued from where they really should be here. BitTier was up today, right, 1.38%. Kango was down 4.44%. Cypher was down 2.82%. Cleanspark was down just a little bit, 0.51%. CORZ was down 2.84%. Hive was down 1.03%. Hut 8 was up actually 1.72%, so that was actually nice to see there. IREN was down 2.78%. Mara was down 1.66%. Riot was down 0.55%, and Wolf was down 2.34%. The Bitcoin holding companies, treasury companies, MicroStrategy was down another 3.74%. Galaxy was down 2.6%. Block was flat on the day. Coin was actually up 0.94%. Metaplan was down 7.75%. Exodus continued. Well, no, it didn't continue. It actually was up today, 3.24%. Nexon here continued to have a green day. It was up 1.55%. Semler was up 3%. Phoenix was down 5.85%. Game was up 1%. Small miners here If you look at those, they were kind of mixed here. We had N being up 3.4, Argo being down 4%, DG Power was being up 6.27, DMG was up 0.19, Mawson was actually down 39% here. I think that's on the stock split here, maybe. Split 1 for 20. Okay, that's maybe why it was down, but man, that's definitely down quite a bit there. That should be a probably higher priced right now than, oh yeah, it is 445. It was before under like 30 cents or something like that. So that thing got corrected there. It's at 445 right now. And that's a result of that. Canon was down 1.49%. The Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin miner ETFs were all in the red here today. The Ethereum holding companies, mostly in the green here. BMNR was down 0.08%, just a little bit. BitDigital was down up 1.95%. BTCS was up 2.58%. Game was up 0.11%. And SBET was up 2.37%. Other companies that we track here as well, we got American Bitcoin here being down 3.28%. This thing seems to be hugging the 200 SMA there a little bit. Wi-Fi was down 0.29. Open was up 9.58%. Oracle was down another 5.66%. I'm not sure why. Let's take a look and see if there's anything that points to it. Why? This is going back to November 18th. There's not really much going on there. 5 hours ago, Oracle stock down today. Why is, so they're all questioning why Oracle was down. Nibius was down 1.63% as well. Soluna was down 5.63%. Bakkt was down 5.35%. Fermi was down 6.94% as well. What else do we have here? Lumen was up. Meta was up. Google was up 3.33% here. Amazon was up 1.63%. Microsoft was down 1.32%. And then NVIDIA was down 0.97% there. So market kind of all over the place here today. Some things were up, some things were down, unfortunately. And that's just the way things operate here in the markets. But like I said, I think we might have bottomed out. Well, time will tell on Bitcoin going forward here. Bitcoin, if we look at Bitcoin here, Bitcoin was down, what was it, 34% from the peak all the way to the bottom here. If we go back up here to right around there where we peaked at 26,000 something, we were down, okay, 36%, right? So that's definitely a sizable correction here. We've had these before as well, 30% plus. 2 in the last year and a half roughly. And then we've had obviously like 7 or 8 corrections in 2021 rally where Bitcoin corrected 30% and then went back up here. So nothing out of the ordinary as far as Bitcoin is concerned here. Only question is, are we entering into the bear market or are we entering into an extended cycle here? That's the big question here. That's at least on my mind right now. I still think we're going to be going into an extended cycle. Time will tell, though. Okay, so there's that. We're not even look at the miners here after hours right now because, well, it doesn't really matter here. We'll take a look at those on Sunday night, see where they are standing right now. If we look at Bitcoin here for the month of November, it is down 22.58% as of right now. That has been probably like one of the worst months we've had here, except for 1 year, which was in 2018, which was obviously a bear market at that point. And yeah, this is definitely the worst month that we've had otherwise in Bitcoin here. Okay, there's that. When we look at the Bitcoin ETF inflows here, why do I have this ad? Wow, that's a big ad. Okay, get rid of that ad. We can see that today we actually had some positive inflows. We had 360 million in positive inflows from all of the companies reporting except for IBIT. We're waiting on that one to report. But yesterday we had almost $1 billion in outflows in the market here. Big drawdown in IBIT, 355 million, and everybody else was also selling out like crazy here. And then today having a nice day, 360 million. We'll see where IBIT comes in on Sunday when we do the update as well. But yeah, things definitely didn't look great yesterday. At least today they're looking pretty good. As far as the Fed tool here, if we refresh this as well, we can see that now. Let me see. There we go. 71% now. I think we're going to be getting a 25% basis cut rate in December here, where before it was like 33%. So things have definitely changed here. It sounds like the Fed was a little bit more dovish, which is a good thing. The other part of it is that I think it's the job numbers and the CPI data is not coming out after the Fed meeting in December, which the Fed is obviously going to be kind of going in the blind here a little bit as far as data is concerned. But yeah, I mean, they're still pricing in a 25 basis point cut here. So we'll see if that still sticks here for how long. Time will tell, only in a couple of weeks. All right, so there's that. All right, next here we have this. There's some good news. Tether just bought the dip with $1 billion for the first time ever. They used $1 billion USD from their own treasury to buy Bitcoin. They definitely know the bottom is in. So this is why I asked the question, is the bottom in? If they're buying $1 billion at this level here, right, at 87,000 base, their holdings are 87,000. I'm not sure exactly where they bought in at this price-wise, but buying $1 billion in, that may be a good signal for the bottom here. Time will tell, but I think that might be the bottom here. Okay, and then lastly here we have, as far as good news is concerned, this is breaking from the tech investor here. Google must double AI compute every 6 months to meet demand. AI infrastructure boss tells employees. This is obviously bullish not only for IREN but Cypher, others as well, possibly Cleanspark, Bitfarms as well, because if they have to double their compute here going forward, they're going to need obviously a lot of megawatts. So this is from CNBC here. Google must double AI compute every 6 months to meet demand. AI infrastructure boss tells its employees. This was obviously published this morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. But yeah, I mean, we're just seeing huge demand for AI and compute in general. This is not a bubble. Nowhere near a bubble that we have been told that it is. Did we need a correction? Yes, I think we needed a correction overall just to have things come back down and a little bit into reality. And a lot of these guys have definitely come down quite a bit here, 50, 60%, somewhere 40% overall down from where they were just 3 weeks ago here. So this correction was needed. It was painful for sure, but we needed it. We can definitely go up higher from where we are right now, which is good news for us, especially if you're going to be holding on to some of these things for a little bit longer time frame as well. All right. So this solidifies our thinking behind that the AI bubble is not a bubble. Okay. Lastly, all we have to take a look at here is the latest data that we have on the Bitcoin miners short data, which was published a couple of days ago. I finally pulled in the numbers here for it. So this is as of the end of October, right? 10/31 of October was the data that was published here. This kind of coincides right around where the miners and everything else was starting to dive down here. So did we get increases in a lot of these guys? Some of these guys had huge increases as far as number of shares being shorted there. We've also updated the number of shares float. So this is all updated here right now as it is, and I'll get this up to you Patreon members later on, probably tomorrow. But here's what we have. Current number of shares shorted here. Obviously, TeraWolf, 109 million shares shorted there. That's the most shorted stock right now as it is, followed by Marathon, 94 million. Then you got Bitfarms at 88 million now. Bitfarms obviously had a nice run up, a very nice run up in price, right? Getting up to $5-6 in price. As a result, the shorts noticed that and the shorts pounced on it. And they've obviously brought it back down to $2 and something here right now. Cypher is at 62 million shares shorted, Core at 60 million, Cleanspark at 57 million, IREN 53 million, Riot 51 million, BitTier at 25, Hive at 13 million, and Kango at 1.86 million there. And when we look at the percentage of average floated short there, TeraWolf is like 42% basically shorted there of the float shares, followed by Marathon at 25%, BitTier 22, IREN at 22, roughly almost 21 and 0.72. Core at 20.71, Cleanspark at 20%, Cypher at 19.53, Bitfarms at 15.52, Riot at 14.83, Hive at 5.5, and Kango at 2.85. Then you can see here share shorted value versus market caps. You can see the market caps currently, as of today at least, and the amount of shares shorted here is in the purple number. You can see that IREN has 2.6 billion value of shares shorted there, and then you can see TeraWolf also having almost 2 billion there, with a market cap of 4.7 billion. So that's a huge amount, obviously, right? Looking at this chart here, we can see the number of shares shorted change from last time. So this is going back about 2 weeks, 2.5 roughly weeks or something like that. Bitfarms had a huge increase, 36.7 million shares increase in short there. IREN 5.7 million there, TeraWolf 2.6, Hive 2.2, Core 2.0, and BitTier 1.89. And you got Cleanspark up just a little bit, 200,000 roughly, Kango 180,000. And then you got Cypher actually being down 2.8, Marathon being down 3.8, and Riot being down 6.95, almost 7 million shares shorted there on those. And then this is a percent from last time. Bitfarms had a huge increase, 71% increase in the shares shorted there, along with Hive 20%, followed by IREN at 11.91%, then BitTier at 8.04%, and you can see the rest of these guys here, how they perform basically. Riot is actually down almost 12% there in shares shorted, which is good to see for them. And then we can see the price from 12 weeks ago. Where was Bitfarms? Where was everybody else, right? Bitfarms is still up 92%, Cypher up 80%, IREN 75%, TeraWolf up 16, Cleanspark up 15, Hive up 12, Core actually up 4, Riot up 1.4. Then you got Marathon being down 25, BitTier down 26, and Kango down 35% here. And here's the percentage 12 week short change. Cleanspark being down 31% from 12 weeks ago in number of shares being shorted there, percentage being shorted there. Followed by BitTier down 12 along with Bitfarms, Riot 10, Kango 7 along with TeraWolf, Hive down 2, IREN up 6, Marathon up 16, Core up 21, and Cypher 38. And is that the latest data that I have on those guys? Because that looks a little bit off here. It is, yeah. Now 12 weeks ago, yeah. Number of shares being shorted there. Okay, so that's the way it looks. And then as far as their individual miners here, over the last, probably what are we looking at here? Going back to May, basically, middle of May here, you can see that BitTier, kind of consistent, 23 to 24, 25 million shares shorted there. Pretty consistent. Bitfarms was coming down for a little bit here, but then it's definitely spiked up here tremendously here in the last reporting period, at least, for them to 88 million. You got Kango, same thing, 1.2 to, that one's going up slowly, but it's going up right to 1.86 million there. We got Cypher here as well, has definitely been increasing. We saw a little bit of a dip here around September. We bounced back up here. We've been coming down here, so that's good. Cleanspark has been coming down more or less, up a little bit here in, at the end of October. And then we got Core, same thing, 46 million to 60 million, more or less in line, slight increase overall. Hive has actually been at between 10 million to 14 million, 15 million, down to 13 million. So it is kind of all over the place on that one. IREN has seen a recent increase in the number of shares being shorted there. Stock has done phenomenally well. Are people thinking that it's maybe overvalued? Possibly. So we're seeing obviously short interest happening in that one as well right now. And then Marathon has been actually coming down here, which is kind of nice to see here. It's actually, that's not the lowest it's been, but it's down to 94 million here. The highest was 107 million for them. So it's actually come down, which is kind of nice to see that. And then Riot has been coming down here overall the last 6 months or so. And then lastly, TeraWolf. TeraWolf has been between 91, 88 million, 104 million. Now it's 109 million, so that one's definitely coming back up here. And I think that is to do with not only for them, but others as well that have convertible notes, things like that. The counterparty is taking basically a hedging position on that, and they're shorting the stock at that point as well. So that's a result of all of this. Okay. So that's kind of what we have here. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing obviously some miners being shorted more here recently because of the run up here in the last, I would say, well, prior to the last 3 weeks that we've had here, because we've been nothing but going down. But prior to that, we've obviously been seeing these things going up tremendously in value here. And as a result, you're going to start seeing more shares shorted there. Okay. So that is it. That's all I got for you guys, at least for tonight. We'll see whatever else data we can pull together. We're still waiting on Cleanspark, which is reporting, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday next week, their financial results, which is going to be their fiscal year-end figures. That's why they're a little late to report. And then it's going to be a short week next week also. We only have 3 days. I'm not sure if the market is trading on Friday. It might be like a half a day or Friday, something like that. But we got Thanksgiving happening here in the United States. So we got Thursday, Friday typically off. And yeah, we'll cover whatever happens before that and after that as well. All right, that's it. Like I said, spreadsheet is going to be available to the Patreon members here. I'm going to put that out probably tomorrow for you guys. Really appreciate your support there. Helps what I do here, as always, so I greatly appreciate it. And also the YouTube viewers and members. Greatly appreciate all of you and love you all for that. But let's get into the Q&A here without taking up any more of your guys' time here. It's Friday night. We should be spending time with our families, watching a movie, spending time with them, having a nice adult beverage possibly, and enjoying it. Even though there wasn't much to enjoy for this past week, the market did not help us out at all. All right, let's get into it. As always, questions, if you could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. We're going to scroll our way up, and I'm going to scroll my way down, as always. All right, let's see what we got here. HB90 says, I feel like most of the miners were probably a bit overvalued before, but what's going on right now seems like a way too extreme sell-up. I would agree with you there as well. Yeah, I mean, some of these guys got to a pretty high valuations relatively quickly. A reasonable pullback, I thought was, in the cards there, 20, 30% down on some of these guys, I thought would have been nice. But we got, 40, 50, 60% on some of these guys here, which definitely hurt quite a bit there. Let's see here. John Kurtz says, hey Seb, finally bought IREN at 41 today. Now my largest holding, second Cleanspark, out Cypher and Hive, still more dry powder to go. Okay, that's good. Let's see. All right, Kamikaze says, it's hard to say if we bottomed out, but I'm glad I sold my Bitcoin and Ethereum stack at 105. So have you bought back in? I'm hoping that you bought back in at least. And 66% or 65% of you still think that we have not bottomed out in Bitcoin right now. So that might be a Bitcoin or a bottom signal in itself. All right, and what else we got here? Creature Lost. We are way oversold. We will bounce back, then drop again. Yeah, but as you look at over time, historically here at least, in the last year, maybe even a year and a half or something like that, we've seen that each time that we drop down, we hit a higher low, and then we go up to a new higher high as well. Okay, so hopefully that continues on here. Brett PG says, hopefully we get to 35,000 BTC soon. I do not hope that. For sure is a bubble. I don't think it's a bubble. You're talking about AI there. I don't think it's a bubble. I think that's been debunked quite definitively here. Let's see. Rob Wong says, Ben of Bitfarms turned down a deal I heard today. I did not hear that. That's interesting. If you turn down a deal, there must have been reasons why for it. Let's see. Kamikaze says he said he had deals in his inbox, but he's playing the long game. Okay, so obviously he thinks he can get more for those. I mean, sometimes you have to be careful with playing those kind of things. But depending what the deal was. B82 says, will miners consolidate or possibly see any miners sell out their mining hardware so we start to have smaller set of mining focused companies? Bitfarms has mentioned that they are looking to get rid of their Bitcoin mining side of business in the next couple of years. So that is going to be happening there. The other ones are still questionable as far as like IREN, Cypher, Cleanspark, and others. The Bitcoin mining side of the business is still profitable for them. And it also provides a way to stabilize the grid as well for electricity. So I still think it's going to be a mix of Bitcoin mining, obviously HPCI, compute, and maybe whatever else they decide to do. But I think that's kind of going to be a mix still. Bitcoin mining is probably going to be a smaller portion of it overall. But it's still, I think it will be still in there. All right, let's see. All right, Rob says, I believe the deal was they were offered a deal for 165,000 per megawatt, but Ben wanted 180,000 per megawatt. Okay, we have to run the numbers as far as what others were getting per megawatt. Is that per month? Is that per, I'm guessing that's probably per month. Definitely not per year, because the per year numbers are usually much larger than millions at that point. Steven says, I couldn't take it anymore and sold 25,000 shares of Cypher, made 100,000 now, got to pay a chunk to Uncle Sam. Still own 75,000 shares in the profit. Okay, very nice. Yeah. All right. Steven, why is BitDigital not performing well? Mr. Sebastian. I mean, BitDigital is basically tied to Ethereum now, right? I mean, they still own a position, obviously, in their subsidiary for White Fiber. So that's, I think they still have the majority position there on that one. So they're still possibly going to be reporting that on their revenue side of things. Maybe, right? I'm not an accountant, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But the big thing, obviously, Ethereum has been coming down. Everything else has been coming down. That's a result of it. I think they got rid of all their Bitcoin mining by now. I think. I could be wrong on that. But that's why I would think it's not performing well. I mean, none of these treasure companies have been performing well here. All right. And NG asks, if there is a deal on the table for Ben in the future, what are the estimated price targets for their business going forward? Depending on the deal, the megawatt size, length and terms, right? As far as is it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it might be. That will depend on what the numbers will look like for us as far as stock price is concerned. BA2, I suspect Hive and Bitfarms short positions are much higher after this week. They probably could be, right? We don't know. We'll get that data probably in, maybe next week we'll get that data as far as November 15th data release date. So I'll keep an eye on this for the next couple of days, see where we come up on that. Okay. All right. That's MicroStats. Bitfarms is the only miner benefiting from the BTC drop. They've sold call options on their HODL. Okay. Well, that'd be good there. NG, have you saw Steven Zeiner video? He has a calculated conservative price target of $10.50 for Bitfarms. He was saying that Ben is holding out the deals in his inbox to give the company better deals. I did not see that, so no. I may have to take a look at that. You're saying Steven Ziner? I'll take a look at that maybe tonight. BD2 says, I enjoyed the Ziner report. Okay, so great. We have another person that we can probably possibly also keep in, watch as well. Get some data from them. If you guys are enjoying him, that means a good thing. So I greatly appreciate you guys mentioning that as well. All right. Let's see, Des Market Stats. I started selling more Bitfarms puts at the $2.50 strike price because why buy for $2.31 a day when you can buy for $2.09 and $12.19? Okay. Rob, I'm definitely going to grab more Bitfarms shares next week. I had computer issues this week. Okay. Yeah, I picked some up this week. I got 400 shares a day. All right. Scud says, I see Cleanspark bounce back. Yeah, a lot of these guys did bounce back today, which was kind of nice to see there. Bevanite says, Feds saved us today. They will do it again next week. After Friday, they are now no longer allowed to talk about rate cuts. They cannot let the market crash, especially CoreWeave, which will be bad for NVIDIA. I don't know if they can't talk about it or what the reason. Well, they can probably talk about it, but I think they had the meetings this week and they sounded dovish, so that was a good sign there. All right, B82 again. Do you believe some group is targeting MicroStrategy to force them into trouble to take over their HODL possibilities? The U.S. strategy. Oh gosh, I mean, that's putting on your tinfoil hat at that point, right? Is there a conspiracy to take down MicroStrategy with the amount of Bitcoin that they have there? I'd like to think not, but geez, I mean, you just never know, right? And that stuff. I think MicroStrategy would not get liquidated. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like in the 30,000, 20,000 mark is when they would have to get like liquidated. And they still have a good business that's generating like $500 million a year overall from the software side of things. But yeah, I don't know. I think, well, time will tell, but I think we're bottomed out here, or close to bottoming out. All right, Neil. Let's see, you should change. I don't think it's a bubble to, I refuse to acknowledge. Hand waving hand, pink waving hand. It could be a bubble. Like one of those things, like, it's like, yeah, maybe not. Like AI, I don't think it's a bubble. That for sure I know is not a bubble. Bitcoin, I don't think it's a bubble anyways. We've been in this too long. There's too much adoption happening here. Right? People are calling it a tulip bubble a couple years ago. That whole narrative has changed. Let's see, SH. NVIDIA announced an acceleration in its roadmap for the Vera Rubin compute platform, advancing its launch to the third quarter of 2026. We might see contracts sooner than expected for Vera Rubin. You're talking about like Bitfarms, which Bitfarms is targeting their data centers to be, or the Washington data center to be ready for Vera Rubin there. That would be great. All right, BA2, which miner announces the next data center deal? I suspect CORZ. CORZ, I think, was been running there, along with maybe IREN as well. Cypher just announced theirs. I mean, Cypher could announce another deal as well. Yeah, so I mean, it's anybody's guess right now as far as who gets a deal. All right, let's see. Bevney says there's no deadline after next Friday. They cannot talk about it until the rate cut meeting. Okay. Is that the? Well, I don't think they have any meetings or anything, right? Usually at the meetings they talk about it at that point. But yeah, we'll see. SH Designer is impatient investor. He wanted Bitfarms to sign contract to benefit because he's a short-term investor. Okay, that I did not know. Obviously, I don't know Ziner there, so I don't know what his timelines are for investing and things like that. As you guys know, I'm a little bit longer term, a little bit more patient. I'm willing to buy in on these dips here and hold on for a little bit longer there. All right, Begney says you will see another Fed member talking about rate cuts probability, which will take the rate cut from 60% to 100%, and we will rally. Okay, that would be great. Desmarket Stats, we have to orange pill our families next week. New blood coming into Bitcoin on the Black Friday sale. Yeah, I've been trying to, orange pill not only my family, but others as well. I do have some family members that are in Bitcoin, but not the majority. It's a small minority right now on it. But I've been telling other people as well. Maybe in time they will listen. Who knows? All right. BE2, I bought MSTW shares this week. MicroStrategy is oversold along with miners and Bitcoin. I would agree with you there as well. User Jason Calacanis, is that our bestie there from the All In podcast? I doubt that Jason Calacanis would be in here. But if he is, how you doing? Burry has correctly called 22 of the last one bubbles. Oh, wait a minute. Trying to understand it. He called 22 of the last one. Well, the one bubble that was back in 2008, the housing bubble. So how could he have called 22? Wouldn't it be one of the last 22 bubbles or something like that? Neil says, look up the Heidenberg Omen. All right, I'll have to look that up. All right, Rish, I can't pronounce the rest of it. Rish, Seb, any idea what Wi-Fi is up to? They were supposed to announce a deal, but nothing yet so far. They've been doing these smaller deal sites, right? They've been also building out, buying and building out these smaller sites, 5, 7, 10, 15 megawatt sites as well. But yeah, I haven't heard anything as far as any new deals for them. But they're doing pretty good here. That's a good, steady business there. All right. Bevneat, IREN target along with Cypher, IREN $100 and Cypher $30, $40. I could see that easily, yeah. I mean, I think maybe IREN could go even higher than that based on just their revenues they're going to be getting next year, potentially. Well, from Microsoft and then from their own AI compute as well. They should be at like 3.4 billion plus Bitcoin mining as well on top of it. So yeah, they should be definitely valued higher from where they are right now. Rob, well, this time Burry is wrong. Jensen Wong made that clear in his earnings presentation on Wednesday. Yeah. If you guys also watched the All In podcast with Jason Calacanis, I'm drawing a blank on the other two gentlemen names there, but they're great. They talked about it obviously today as well, and they dove into it as far as how Michael Burry was wrong on his calculations there with the depreciation numbers and the length time frame for the depreciation as well. Yeah, that has definitely been debunked there. Okay, JC, hi Seb, are you coming here tomorrow evening? Saturdays, no, Saturdays I usually just take a day off. I need a day off. I do this 6 days a week for the most part. So we'll be back on Sunday, as always, probably around, my time will be like 9 o'clock, which then Eastern time will be around 10 o'clock, I think, right? Somewhere around there. Somewhere around there is when we usually go live. But thank you for coming in here. Zeiner sold some of his Bitfarms holdings and told everyone to buy Canon. Then he sold Canon and left everyone hanging with the drop. I don't trust him. Okay. So there's two stories to him. I'll take a look into him, see what he's all about. Right? With anybody, me included, right? Take a listen to him, see what they have to say, but always verify, right? How are they doing things? What's their track record like and everything else? None of us are always right? I for sure am not always 100% right. So that's why I always say this is not financial advice. This is for independent only. Do your own research, right? All those things that go into play here. This is just kind of like my little life story as far as what I'm doing and, how I'm processing all of this stuff happening here. Just seeing what I'm seeing basically and letting you guys know about it. And yeah. All right. User point was Burry calls a bubble everywhere and often wrong. Okay. Yeah. Then that makes sense. Yeah. Burry throws out bubbles all the time. Yeah, I would agree with you there. Rob Wong, something tells me the hyperscaler is a real big one, i.e. Google for Bitfarms there. Well, based on what we saw obviously today, that their AI compute boss there is telling them that they need to double their AI compute every 6 months. They're going to need a lot of megawatts. So that would be interesting there if that was the case. All right. Desmark Stats, Bitfarms board member that helped launch AWS is very valuable. Yes, from Amazon, yes. They got that one, what has it been now, 2-3 months ago? So they've done a great job getting the board members that are much better than what they have in the past as well. And they're going in the right direction. They've definitely navigated the ship there as the company in a much stronger position into a much better future, I think, as well, which Ben has done a really good job here this year overall, right? He's been only the CEO for what now? A year and 4 months or something like that, more or less. A year and 3 months, something like that. So I was definitely a strong proponent of him. Wasn't too happy with them not meeting their targets, but then I can see why they did it, and I can understand it. And in hindsight, I can see what the reasoning was for back then. I wish they would have maybe mentioned all those things that they're going into, right? They're going to pivot more into HPC AI and things like that back in December, November of last year. That could have given us at least a little bit more confidence in what they're doing instead of just going, yeah, we're getting out of Argentina or Paraguay and selling our sites there, and we're going to be not reaching our targets. So I think that could have helped out there. Okay, talked about that. B82 Zeitner report is good to follow, mainly for local slant and eyes on Pennsylvania locations. He is not nearly as thorough in his analysis as Seb and is overcommitted to Bitfarms from Stronghold days. Okay. Now, I'll take a look at him. I'll see. Is this channel just Zeitner report or something like that? Is that what his channel is called? I was not aware of that one, so I'll definitely take a look at it, though. But thank you, everyone, for pointing that out. Right, the more places we can view, research, things like that. I listen to a lot of things as well all during the week. I try to get other sides of the story as well, see what other people are thinking as well. More Tim says, I'm in Franz Baker's IREN chat, and I'm surprised how many are acting defeated. Franz does a great job there, right? What's the other one there as well? Oh gosh, I'm drawing blanks right now. I'm terrible with names. I have a hard time remembering names for whatever reason, unless I actually meet people face to face a couple times. Oh gosh, you guys know the other person that's on X all the time as well. There's Franz. There's also Kamasutra, right? There's another one. Those guys do a great job as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's basically seeing the same thing that I'm seeing on here, right? With you guys, members, and other people coming in as well. A lot of people do sound defeated, right? That it's over, it's so forth, so on. I'm still more optimistic. I see that some of you guys are still quite nicely optimistic as well, I think. So that's awesome to see as well. Mom, I can't pronounce it. So I'm sorry I can't pronounce that. Question, will we go back to peak next quarter? I don't know if it's going to be next quarter. It might be within the next, I would say probably within the next 3 to 6 months. I think that might be a possibility here. But next quarter might be a little too quick. It took us a little while to get up to the prices where we were, right, to go back to the peaks on these things here. If it happens faster, I would love to see it. But I'm just going to say it might be a little bit more than that. All right. John, thank you so much for the thumbs up there. SH, there's a rumor that Wolf and Google approached Bitfarms in partnership for Pennsylvania sites. Ah, interesting. So Wolf was trying to help them out, probably maybe buy them out, something like that. Interesting. So that would actually bode well for Bitfarms in there. I mean, they do have great sites in Pennsylvania, especially if they can get the sites to 1 gigawatt for each site or something like that. That would be fantastic for them. All right, B2, I suspect people that feel defeated by IREN's action are momentum traders that got in during the quick run to 76. That could be it as well. We do have people that have gotten into, obviously, at Cleanspark and other companies as well at their highs, right? Even before this current rally that we had back in 2024, I think it was, right? Where they got into things that are higher and then they got defeated as they were coming down here. Instead of being defeated, you have to know what you own and why you own it. What's the reasoning behind it? What is their future potential as well? And then if you believe in that and that they can execute on those things, I like to dollar cost average in, but what other people do is up to them, right? So I'm still in the green on everything. I mean, was much greener in everything just a couple of weeks ago, but I'm still in green in things. So I'm still happy overall. From where I started just 3 years ago to where I am now, I'm a happy camper still. I can be a much happy camper when we go up even higher, but right now I'm still a happy camper. All right. Let's see, Rob says, I heard that too. Okay, so that's interesting that, the sharks are starting to swim around some of these smaller fish here. All right, more Tim, do you think IREN and Cypher are more correlated to Bitcoin or the market? If you look at the charts for those stocks and Nibius, they look like clones for the last month. They seem to follow more of the markets, right? They're not down as much as some of the other miners, Bitfarms, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Riot, Mara as well, right? Some of those guys got beat up a little bit more. So the ones that have contracts, I think, are doing better than the ones that don't. As far as when it comes to Bitcoin dropping, those guys haven't done quite as bad. All right, I think we've cut up to a lot of the questions here, so I think we're going to call it a day. We're going on, what are we going on? Did my phone die? No. We're going on 40 minutes here. That should be good enough. All We got one more coming in here from B82 here. IREN, CORZ, Cypher are all trading like HPCI stocks, not miners. Yeah, I would agree with you there. Right, that's kind of what I'm seeing as well here. Right, Nibia's got taken through the tool shed as well. Who else got? Oh gosh, Oracle. Some of the other ones got also taken to the tool shed there, beat down a little bit during this recent pullback. But I think overall, long term, right, these guys have a lot of megawatts still to build out in the next couple of years. These guys are still growth companies, growth plays basically. So I'm willing to hold on to them for a little bit longer, see where things go. And, obviously we got to follow the economy, how the economy does, things like that, and just see where things take us. But overall, I still think the bullish sentiment is in the next couple of years for these guys. All right. Let's see. We'll call it a day at this point. Again, thank you everyone for coming in here. Love you all. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Go outside, spend time with your family, spend time with your kids, things like that. I know it's hard, but don't get too overwhelmed by the price action on these things. They will bounce back in time, I think. It's just going to be a matter of time. All right. So love you all. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great weekend.